Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I'm getting ready to make another very simple recipe, and this is for chocolate chip meringue cookies. These cookies are just little clouds that are crispy and delicate and then have miniature chocolate chips all throughout them. Super easy to make and great for special occasions like Passover. Although they're so easy to make, you can really just make them anytime. So I've got my oven preheated to 250 degrees, and I'm going to need 3 egg whites. Look at these pretty eggs. I've got a brown one, I've got a brown one, a blue one, and a green one. Alright, so again, just the egg whites, and these are room temperature because I'm going to be whipping these up into a foam, and room temperature eggs always work much better than cold eggs when it comes to that. And I really need a second dish. I really don't like breaking my eggs into my mixing bowl, unless it's just one egg and it's the first thing going in, because if you ever have a bad egg, you've ruined your ingredients. But also, if you kind of shatter your shell, getting it out of a little dish is a lot easier than getting it out of a big bowl full of eggs. But then when you're only wanting the egg whites, it's really kind of important to do it this way, because you don't want any of that yolk getting in there. And if your yolk breaks when you crack your egg open, you just messed up all your egg whites. Alright. So now to my egg whites here, I'm going to add in 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. An 1/8 of a teaspoon of fine salt. So now I'm going to put them in my mixer here, and I'm going to beat these until the egg whites come to a soft peak. And a soft peak is when you take the mixer up out of the bowl and the egg whites, the tip of them kind of fall over as a soft peak. Kind of like the Q on the top of a Dairy Queen ice cream cone. So now I have the soft peaks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue beating the egg whites, and I'm going to very slowly add in 3/4 of a cup of sugar while it continues to mix. So now I'm going to keep mixing this up, beating it until it's about the consistency of shaving cream, kind of thick and shiny, and that'll just take a couple more minutes. Alright, there you go. Finally, I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and beat that in as well. So the last thing that's going to go in here is some mini chocolate chips. And this is going to take about 3/4 of a cup altogether, but I'm not going to put them all in. I'm going to leave out, I don't know, about 2 or 3 tablespoons or so, because when I fold all of these in, you're not going to be able to see them. They're going to be coated with the meringue. And so I'm going to leave a few out so that once I have the meringue cookies scooped, I can sprinkle a couple on top of each cookie so that you can see the chocolate chips. And we're just going to fold these in. So now I have 2 baking stones here lined with parchment paper, and I'm using my baking stones because my baking sheets are currently in use with other things. But baking sheets, baking stones, it doesn't matter. You just want to line them with some parchment paper. And I don't have a medium-sized scoop because mine broke and I just haven't gotten around to replacing it. So I'm going to use my little 1-inch one, and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit extra to each one. And we're just going to scoop these onto the baking sheet. And you want these to be about 2 inches apart or so. Now I'm just going to take my extra chocolate chips here, and I'm going to sprinkle a couple on top of every one and just sort of push them down in to the meringue a little bit so they kind of stick. So now the meringue cookies are in the oven. They're going to bake at the 250 degrees in the middle of the oven, middle rack, for 30 minutes. Then after the 30 minutes of baking time, I'm going to turn the oven off, let them sit for another half an hour, another 30 minutes in the oven with the door closed. Then I'll take them out and let them cool on the counter. Alright you guys, so once the cookies come out of the oven, you're going to let them cool on the counter on a rack for about an hour or so until they are fully cooled and the chocolate chips on top have hardened back up. And then you've got your gorgeous little meringue cookies with the chocolate chips. And these are great for any occasion. As you saw, they're really easy to make. So while they look fancy and you could make them for a holiday, they're easy enough that you can make them anytime. So there will be a printable version of this recipe on my website, cosmopolitancornbread.com, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put a link to it down below in the show notes. So thanks for joining me here in the Homestead Kitchen. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.